Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. I'm here with Adil. Adil, how's your weekend?
Yeah, good weekend.
Yeah.
Good weekend. Just enjoying a bit of a break from not watching non-stop Premiership football and European football and missing it, but
Happy.
also making some use of just relaxing.
Not gonna lie, watching England has been depressing. It's been awful.
It's been like that for a while, so I wasn't expecting anything less. So.
It puts you off watching football for a while. That's what it does. It made me miss the Premier League even more.
There's plenty of exciting games where you can just watch other players, watch new talent, especially when it comes to the South American, friendlies. They've got a few friendlies that they're gonna just play good football and outplay the opposite because they're playing a third-rate team, but you get to see some talents. So
forget about it. Let's just watch England and see how they do. In the World Cup, watch the rest of the team. But let's get on with it. Let's talk about England and their game versus Italy. I mean, again, another abysmal showing apart from a few players. Again, not scoring goal from open play. So I think I don't know how many hours or minutes it's been since they've last scored from open play. It doesn't seem like we're creating anything anywhere near enough. What's going on? Is Southgate too pragmatic in his approach, or the players not performing? What is it?
I think it's just a continuation of the problems from the summer and the back end. I mean, I thought that was PR when the back end of the summer they tried going on like, it was fatigue. That was the reason behind the losses to Hungary and all that, which it wasn't. I mean, you watched the game; they were outplayed, and
because that Hungary looked the better team in every aspect,
and you could. But I just thought. Even then, I thought the same problem, and that's what it's become more about the system. Or formation, I should say, rather than what you can do. It's more about, how to counteract the opposition rather than how you can, open up and how you should be setting up. So I think too much focus is on opposition. Too much of the setup is about the opposition. And it's not about how you play, how you do things. And that's where... that's why they're struggling, really. And
I was going to say, does that show that we don't? I don't know. Southgate doesn't believe in the players or believe in the ability of, because this is a golden. You can pretty much say a golden generation. We've got so many attacking, talented players, and we're just not giving them the platform. It feels like.
Yeah, but I mean, what are you saying when you keep playing a wing-back system and effectively what you're saying is because to make it work, you're taking ultimately you're taking away from the midfield to put an extra man in centre back in the defense, and it's not like we've got defenders that are gonna spread the ball out and really, I know Harry Maguire can do it to a point, but the three at the back aren't those type of players. So I just feel like they're not got the players to really stretch teams in defense through, and they don't really have the composure either on the ball. And then you got the other problem is obviously you're taking an attacking player or potential attacking player off by having an extra man at the back.
Did it's just a point you just reminded me of. Like, there was a phase of play where we looked like obviously both teams played at three at the back, right? England had obviously three forward, and then obviously I think Italy had two that were pressing at the. Our three kind of pretty much stayed along that same line when we had the ball, right? And Italy were pressing with two, and they were able to cope with it. So now that means they had an extra man in midfield. But when the ball switched over, England were pressing with three people, but their centre back was able to push forward away from those players. I'm like, surely that's one. Obviously, our pressing is incorrect. How are they able to carry that ball forward, and our defenders not being able to do anything? And it seems like we're going back and forth between those three players and not really doing anything effective, unless and until Bellingham made an overlapping run. Only then it looked like we're going to do something.
No, but if like I said, if you look at the lineup, just the personnel that Southgate is picking, he's picking players more for their work off the ball than it is what they do on the ball. Even if you look at Harry Maguire off form, yeah. So when he's on form, he can be a bit of a creative. So he does sometimes go into attacking positions, but right now he's not because his confidence ain't there, and there's so much question marks about his position where they should be starting up, which we can come to later. But then you've got the other two, Kyle Walker. He's not a centre back. I mean, he can do a job against one of the weaker teams, but as you saw for the goal, soon as you come up against top quality opposition, who can ping the ball, who can play accurate balls, attacking players can get the ball down, he will get exposed for his greatest quality, and everyone rates him is his speed.
His recovery,
it's his recovery.
Literally.
But guess what? If your greatest quality is recovery runs and recovery defending, then guess what? You've done a mistake in your foundation defending in the first place.
Do you think he's put in there because of the lack of skill by other defenders? Because Dyer hasn't got the leg, nor does Maguire.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Like. Literally, we compromise.
But if you look at it, yeah, but then if you go a bit further, you're playing Rice more because of his defensive qualities than his attacking qualities. Whether it's Henderson or Bellingham, who I agree was probably our best player, they're more renowned for their work off the ball than it is on the ball. Bellingham is a two-way player, but still, he gives you a lot of energy off the ball too.
Yeah,
he's not a playmaker.
No.
Even if it's Calvin Phillips, if he was injured, it's the same problem. The core of that team are players that are more renowned for what they do off the ball than they do on the ball. And I think that's where the problem is. That's why they play the ball square all the time. That's why they're always, reluctant, because they don't really have that guy picking it up, trying to control the game. I know, Rice does it to a point, but he's not gonna really maneuver,
dictate and play. Yeah.
And the thing is, what does Italy want to do? That's perfect for Italy. They'll press for a bit.
Yeah.
But then they'll play. They'll control the space. They'll keep everything in front of you.
But this is what I mean. This is what they did, Adil. This is what literally they did, where they allowed the left back three of England to have that ball, set back, allowed their two attacking players to just go between them and let England just go across the field. Nothing else, literally.
And that's the thing. I think Southgate's whole identity has gone way too much towards trying to win through systems rather than actually backing the players and their ability on the ball and their creativity. And slowly that lack of confidence will show. I mean, again, Sterling isn't he's a player that gets on the end of stuff. He's not the one to create.
No.
Foden can do both, but again, is he a natural winger or especially on the right hand side? So far, his best performance for both England and Man City has been in false nine, left side position, not as much on the right. I know he's been playing there a lot this season, but if you look at when he scored the goals and performed a bit better, slightly when he's been on the left hand side.
Why not play him as the 10?
I mean,
that's an additional attacking player. Play Saka. You got Bowen. You got Rashford. You got Sancho. You got so many options out wide that you can play. That gives you another attacking player.
No, but obviously that they can only play the 10 when they play 4 at the back. In this current system, it's basically 5-2-3, isn't it?
What he's saying is we don't trust our centre backs either.
Yeah, effectively that's what he's saying.
Because we're going so defensive just to protect our centre backs.
Yeah, he is effectively saying that. But then you've got midfielders who can't dictate a game, who can't, really take the ball in tight areas.
No.
And then you've got, Foden's not playing in his strongest position, in my opinion, but he's still a quality player. And you got Harry Kane who drops deep. So, there's a lot of pieces that just aren't gelling there. And I think a lot of it also, a lot of the problems are, one, too much focus on system, too much focus on off the ball work. But on top of that, I think a lot of the squad players know Southgate has his favorites. Southgate has his, the players that he trusts and he backs, and that's the problem.
Then that goes against his full philosophy or the idea that he said at the beginning. Because if you remember when he first came in, and even the way we applauded the way he was doing it, he was picking players based on form. And then obviously come to this one or the recent ones, it seems like he's gone back to being comfortable or picking the players that he wants.
Yeah, but not those players.
Some of them you can justify why he could be doing it, maybe to build them up because we will need them, right? But then there's others you can't justify them for.
Yeah, well, it's that thing where like a cycle of a team. Now, those players that were originally fresh blood and used to move out the Rooneys and the old guard before are now those players that are kind of set in stone, and that over-reliance or over loyalty for what they've done and the fact that they've qualified. And I think that's the thing. Southgate is putting way too much emphasis on being loyal to the players that have got them through qualification. And you can see that with the squad selection. I mean, so many, like I said, contradictions to what he used to say previously, with the selection of Maguire and, Shaw, and, there's players who are playing that in the squad. And that's contradicting what he used to say and the stance he used to give.
Even Bowen, you can say. Bowen hasn't done anything this year.
In terms of goals, but I think he's performed, like as I saw, he's not performing bad. So yeah, and he's been unlucky. He's hit the woodwork a few times and things like that. But but he's played well, isn't it? I mean, he was one of the few bright sparks when they played in the summer. He was one of the few players that really stood out. So I think yeah. It's the squad is stale, everything is stale, the ideas are stale, they need a new injection.
Do you think he missed out then? For me, what it seems like this was a missed opportunity, because this is 2 games before the World Cup, the big competition, right? This is your chance to throw in some, a potential game changer or anything in there for you to change that moment or give you a different idea. But he seems to have just like missed that whole boat by going with the players you want. Like Ivan Toney. All right. Hear me out, Adil, on this point, yeah? We've got 4 right backs in the squad for the squad against Italy. Why do we need 4 right backs? Are we going to play 4 right backs at any time? Please tell me. No. Why are we not putting the striker in? You brought him into the squad to have a look at him, but you don't even have him in the squad.
Yeah, I think what it is I think some of the 4 right back decisions is around media pressure. I think clearly if he gets to choose, someone like Trent would have been there. I think his preference is James, Trippier, and Walker. And again, he sees Walker as doubling up as a centre back. He sees Trippier as doubling up as a left back. So they're like versatile players for him. again, it's all about what people bring off the ball. And again, it's just not what the top teams are doing. And the strangest thing is, for this World Cup, I think they allowed a slightly expanded squad.
Yeah, because more subs allowed. So
I think it's 28-man squad they allowed, which is more. I think before it's always 23 or something like that.
Yeah, 23 men, I think, squad or something.
Yeah, so they've allowed 5 extra players in the squad. You think it solved these problems of trying to have these utility players that can play multiple positions. But it alludes to my point at the beginning, which is he's so busy trying to be loyal to the players that have got them to qualification, got them to the final of the European Championships and the Nations Cup. That basically he's not rejuvenating the squad.
Hear me out. We've taken 12 players into this game, 12 defenders, sorry, but we still ended up playing Saka at left wing back.
Yeah, because
how do you justify that? I'm sorry, please tell me.
Yeah, I just feel like this is more his World Cup selection squad. So some of those players who aren't quite fit, like the Chilwells, the Shaws, it's more bonding and doing some prep work and getting getting an assessment of them before they go to the World Cup. Game against Germany is the last one. So this is the squad that he's selected for the World Cup, as far as I'm concerned. Only one that maybe he wants that could come in because of injury is Calvin Phillips. But other than that, this is his squad.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one really missing. And Pickford, right? There's no one really missing. So I think that's what it is. Maybe some of those players that he's selected is more around them bonding and getting, some things prepared for how it's going to be in Qatar, because it's not like they have any warm-up games or anything.
No,
they're going to go into I think a 5-day camp.
5-day camp,
and then straight into the World Cup starts. So definitely, I don't think. I think that must be going on. That's the only thing that makes sense. Obviously, he doesn't want to make tough decisions.
And that's
if he played Shaw or Chilwell, who is he going to drop? You can tell Sterling is undroppable in his eyes. Kane is undroppable. Saka is undroppable, and Foden is undroppable. And the other player that I always thought was undroppable, finally he had dropped, was Mount, which he never likes to drop. So yeah, he's got a lot of players.
Saka's been voted the England
fans player of the year.
Yeah, fans player of the year. So, but still, he didn't play him in the right position. For even doing that well, didn't even get to play him in the position that he plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it is. He's relying on the same set of players, and it's just all going a bit stale.
One promising thing, and obviously I'll kind of link it to also Liverpool being potentially linked with him. Bellingham, I mean, he looked like the real difference maker within the team, or something he can do, that spark.
Yeah, he was the only real spark, and that is probably one of the other frustrating things about not having Toney even on the bench, was because when things are happening, it would have been really good to see Toney, because he's going to give everything. Those Italian defenders, he's going to give them a tough time, and he's really going to bring people into the game. And just felt like this obsession with Kane has to stay on for 90 minutes all the time.
Are we over-reliant on Kane?
Justify it. I think Southgate is. I'm not saying that you don't want to.
He's our best striker. I don't.
Yeah, and he's going to hold all the records. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it doesn't. You can't. Doesn't mean you have to be over-reliant on him.
Yeah.
There are other good players in the squad. Other guys who can score. Other guys who sometimes have more energy when it comes to England matches.
And Adi, even in the going into the World Cup, he's going to need some rest, because we're going to need him in the latter stages. So You need.
I don't know. I mean, they had the summer of rest. It's not like they haven't had rest.
Well,
And the fact that it's not the end of season, I don't know. That's why, Capello was saying last week, he might have been regretting it before the Italy game. In his preview of the game, he's put England as one of his favorites to win it. It's simply because when he was manager, he felt like the season had worn the players out so much, and they used to always perform well at the start of the season, and then really struggle once tournaments came because of how much the Premiership takes out of you. So he's putting so much into the fact that this is a Winter World Cup that he thinks England are going to be a real force because every player is going to be in peak condition. And it's an interesting argument that we'll find out and see if that it makes a lot of sense.
But is Southgate good enough to take this team to go and win the championship?
Well,
the World Cup.
Well, my argument is it's the same for everyone else. Then that just means everyone else is more fresh as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and we're seeing it now, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's not like you could use fatigue as an excuse over the end of the season, summer results, but this Italy team ain't the most athletic team.
No.
So and their style isn't so physical. So they ultimately got controlled. That game always felt like Italy were making England play to their tactics and to the way they wanted, rather than for all the possession England were having, it looked like it was Italy's game plan to play like that.
Adi, if I was to ask you, because since we're talking about, would you change the manager considering how it's been the last? I know it's odd to say, but would you change Southgate or is it too late? Because clearly he hasn't been performing, and it's down to him mostly. If you look at it, or is it?
I wouldn't change Southgate simply because of he's qualified. Yeah. He's done well with England. I don't think you can. It's not a situation that is so dire that you need to change the manager. I think, are they, not performing great? Is there a lack of confidence? Yeah, but that confidence can easily come back. That confidence can come back. One good performance can really get things going again. And he clearly hasn't lost the players. The players are with him, are backing him.
Yeah.
So, and it just reminds me a bit like Luis Aragonés when he was with Spain. He's drawing a lot of games.
Calm before the storm.
And he was under a lot of pressure. And then because a lot of people weren't sure about him going all small and tiki taka and he's talking a lot of philosophy. And look, they ended up winning, the World Cup and the European Championship. So, yeah, I don't think he's lost the players, and I don't think it would be right to thingy. But yeah, you'd hope he maybe has the intelligence to start not being so obvious with everything he's doing. I mean, what worked for the last 3-4 years while he's in Madrid clearly has become stale, and he needs to freshen up his approach by getting new blood in and maybe shaking up his coaching team or something. It is very done, and I think that whole style of constantly changing formations, I think the players are good enough for the manager to say 4-2-3-1, I back you to beat the opposition.
Adi, if we play in both, and I think we will, either probably Jordan Henderson would. If we play in Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips, say in the middle, Adi, you've got enough protection for you to play forward the back.
Yeah, that's an argument, especially, but I still think that's too much, No,
but
I still think that's too much.
Obviously he's very pragmatic, but I'm saying that if that's what he goes with, even with the five of them, he goes with Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice, then why not go with 4? Give that one extra man up front to help out our attackers.
Yeah, but again, that's the thing. He's sticking to the same formula, and it's probably become a bit too same for the players. Definitely, yeah, I agree. He needs to change things up, mix things up. Too many similar players, too many players that are more renowned for their work off the ball than on the ball.
Because I mean, I still remember the great thing was he was picking players on form. Like when Jared Bowen first came in, Saka came, they were on form and they came in and England looked like a new England. Or that one player or two player that he brought in fresh gave the whole team an impetus. That's what you felt like. And obviously now it just seems like, oh, everyone knows they're safe and secure in their position. So
do you think this is the squad? It's done. This is, like, so we're basically saying
looking at
out,
pretty much. I mean,
Pickford's out, Rashford's out. Anyone else? I don't know.
Yeah, Pickford will probably come in, right? I think if he's going with three at the back, then I think this is going to be his players. Only one I could see potentially is Ben White probably coming in if there's an injury. But even then, Ben White, I don't know why he's not in there. It'd have been good to have a look at him. I mean, it's not like he's been terrible for Arsenal. I know he's been playing right back, but that's because of Arsenal's injuries.
Yeah, but he's not been playing bad at right back either.
Exactly.
And I think there's always this.
But then that could be
push for Dyer. There's always been a push for Dyer, because he's a leader. He's that type that is big, strong, really good, repeats what the manager wants and all. It's always been an obsession with getting him back in. And I'm not saying, he's been playing bad for Toney. He's been playing okay, but nothing standout. I mean,
no.
Tottenham are playing a very defensive brand of football.
Listen, I think if anything,
he doesn't have to do an awful lot. You don't actually notice him a lot in games having to do much.
Yeah, because Romero and the others are doing the job for him.
Yeah,
because he's just sitting back and sweeping. Let's be honest, that's what's been happening. Because the ones that are engaging is the left centre back and the right centre back.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I just think they're one good win away of just turning things around. Clearly, that confidence is starting to get low.
Yeah. This Germany game is going to be a real test for them. I think it should be really good.
Do you think they should experiment? Or because it's one game, they need to stick to what they got?
I think 100% you should experiment. I do, because you've brought in these new players to have a look at them, and you should give them a chance to go on, show. And let's give you a dilemma, and let's give those people who missed out that impetus. Oh, you know what? This guy can take my spot, because that will light a fire in itself.
Yeah, I think ideally he wouldn't have wanted to. But he is going to simply because of the fact that the game was played on Friday and this one's on Monday, and players need to recover and got to go to the play the
well, and the fact that
I think the only reason that we might see a different lineup is because of that, but not necessarily because he's trying to try things out. That's maybe there will be some changes.
It's going to get played out that way, isn't it? That he's making the changes, etc. That's what's going to happen.
Well, he hasn't really tried anything out in the squad, isn't it? No. I mean, other than Toney, is there anyone else that you felt would have been worth a punt, bringing into the squad?
Well, maybe someone like Sancho. I know Rashford's injured, so he pulled out. He would have been worth. It's something different. Someone who's a bit more direct. Adil. We all, because if you look at Kane, he drops in. Sterling's the only one that probably stretches. Foden likes to get to the ball. We haven't got anyone that offers something different, that runner off that Kane needs. And Rashford would offer that on the left hand side or right, so whichever side you want to play in. Because you need players that will do something different. Too many of the players are similar.
All the replacements, the benches like for like.
Yeah. So if you want to make a difference, or if you want to make a change that will change the complexion of the game, who do you go to? So Sancho's another one.
The only player he has that slightly got a bit of a difference is Grealish. You know, that's the only flair player, creative, slightly different that he's got. Like the rest are all hardworking players. But
What do you think of maybe like someone like Maddison? Put him in the 10.
I think
Because
it would have been good to have him in the squad. Looking at the lack of creativity, I mean, I don't think does he deserve to go to work? Probably not, because he's not one of the players that's thinking. But certainly in terms of these games, and
I don't know if you know this, outside of I think Toney and Harry Kane, James Maddison goals and assists is the next guy.
Yeah,
and this is in a poor Leicester team who hasn't been performing for over a year.
But I'll ask you, what position is Maddison playing?
Yeah, I know what you're going to say, but you get.
But
we need to.
What position is he playing right now for Leicester?
We need to do something different. Number 10, but we need.
He's not playing 10 for Leicester though. They're playing him right wing, and he floats in.
No, but I'm saying if we were to play him, you play him as a number 10.
But they're not playing with a 10 in the system.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying in terms of difference maker. If you want to change it and you want to do something in a game, you want players that could do different things, not players that can do the same things. Then what's the point of them making the sub? What changes are you making?
Yeah, I agree with you.